Hey everyone, we are being live streamed right now. So, everyone who is joining us now or in the future, welcome to week two, I guess you could call it episode two of Tribute Talk. Today we have all of our friends from last week joining us. We have Jerry from HG Fanboy, we have AJ from Hunger Games Collector, we got Taylor, we got Chase, we have everyone here. So, this week we're
Oh
talking.
wow, I gotta mention.
You gotta mention, but I'm not gonna plug your Instagram because I know you're a private man. But this week we're talking about chapters 3 and 4 of Catching Fire. But before we jump into that, we had a lot of Hunger Games news that happened last week. Specifically, the steel books were all announced, and every single day at 10 a.m. we all got to be excited for those moments where we got to see the new artwork and everything involved. So I just want to talk about like what people's initial thoughts were on the steel books. Like what is your favorite? What's the ugliest to you? Are you excited, etc.? Will you be buying? Whoever wants to start.
I mean, I'll definitely be buying them.
I'll buy too.
No matter what opinions I have to say about them or the criticism or things that I like about it, I'm like, well, I'm definitely gonna be buying it. So
No,
that's
exactly.
that's not even a question for me.
I think I think for me, it was seeing the first one, like the Hunger Games Steelbook. I was instantly angry. Like, I think it's so disgusting. But going through all the other releases, I have to say my least favorite is Mockingjay Part 2. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like the inside of that one. It's so interesting because I feel like parts of them, each of them I really like, but there's parts of them that I don't really like so much. And I think as a whole, it doesn't feel cohesive to me. There's just so many different things about it that seem kind of smushed all together, and I don't really like that. I think I would have liked if there was a more cohesive feel for all of them, and like all of each of them has like a part that's matching. Like the insides are all kind of similar, and the front cover is all like a drawing done by someone. And then I really like how on the sides it makes the like book cover pretty much with like the arrows for 1, 2, 3, 4. But I don't know, all the pieces don't really like fit together for me. So that's why it's kind of off. But it's just going to be sitting on my shelf anyway. And I like the side of it. My favorite part is what's going to be showing on my bookshelf. So I'm happy.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was like a weird for the Hunger Games, like the first movie. It was like psychedelic. I don't know. It was very, if you compare them, like you said, each one is so different. And it's just, I don't know, like especially with the first movie, that's definitely not like colors and patterns and themes that we've seen in other Hunger Games merch and collections. And so I think that's why I was just like, what is going on? I felt like it was a weird dream.
I know other people have more positive thoughts though, so
Yeah.
somebody else chime in.
Okay, so we get in here. AJ, okay, no, but real quick, Abby was saying in the comments, like they don't like the flower theme on the disc. I agree. I don't know where the flowers are coming from, so can someone explain to me? Somebody who likes it, give me your thought process.
Well, one of them's roses, so there's that.
Well, yeah. But okay, somebody to defend them. Somebody to defend them.
I think the last flower is a primrose, if I'm correct or not. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but there's like a rip on one of them, so I instantly thought rip primrose because So I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. One makes sense.
Plus the roses. I mean, can't go wrong there.
I think I was confused with the scenes, quote unquote scenes or quotes that they chose from. Like I understand the Mockingjay Part 1 one, like if we burn, blah, blah, blah. That whole speech. But why did they choose the President Coin quote for the last one when I feel like there's so many other quotes they could choose from? And then another thing I was talking about in the chat was, why are we focusing on the Tracker Jacker scene for the Hunger Games? Like, it's not like that is the most influential scene of the movie, you know? So I'm just like, that's why all of this is just weird to me.
But the quote of the fourth one, I mean, that is a pretty influential scene
I don't
in the
like I don't like
movie.
that it's a quote from Coin.
But like
I
nobody else says anything in that moment. So
I don't like it.
I love that quote. So I'm gonna fight for that one.
Well,
I think that was a good choice.
Whenever I read it, I like in my head, I read it in her voice and it drives me nuts.
I love it. It's so epic.
Jessica says that she hates that quote. So, and she also said that she thought Catching Fire was the Primrose one. I'm trying to see.
Almost.
Let me look at them.
It almost looks like a spout looking thing.
I feel like I don't know what a primrose looks like. I tried to Google a lot of pictures and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, is it supposed to be primrose or not? And which one?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the first one, what is the first flower? I mean, it's interesting because there's arrows in the flower. Like, what flower is
for
that?
The first cover or the first steelbook? Like daisies?
Yeah, why would we pick daisies?
I mean, the only thing I can think is like the flowers that Katniss laid around Rue, but I can't remember exactly what those look like, and they were kind of different colors.
And I'm looking at the Catching Fire one because Jessica was like, "Oh, is that Primrose from the Catching Fire?" But that one, I don't know. That one gives me like sunflower vibes.
Hmm.
And then I think that the Mockingjay Part 2, Jerry's right. I didn't think about that. The Primrose.
What was kind of cool is like there were like little details that I didn't notice until other people were talking about it and looking at them further. Like all the little details in the Mockingjay Part 1 inside, like the skull, and I think there was like a Mockingjay in there, and like little things like that. And then there's like the little cityscape. I feel like that's why I like the Mockingjay Part 1 one the best. It has all these like little details. But then on the CD discs too, the three-finger salute, and then what else was in there? Arrows,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So there are like a lot of little like somebody said it was like an I Spy game, which I thought that was funny.
That's funny, yeah.
If those are daisies, then daisies are mentioned in Deep in the Meadow. So.
Oh.
Okay. All right. I guess we've got our answer. Like we're really trying to like stretch things to make things work, make things fit.
Someone on the official Hunger Games page commented that there was a quote about daisies in the first book. Can't confirm that though. Well,
yeah,
I guess not.
Jessica's saying the primrose on Mockingjay Part 2 with like the broken heart is really cool.
Ooh, okay. Found a daisies quote. We found a daisies quote.
Okay.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, post it.
Okay.
I'm kind of glad to see different things for like tired of anything Hunger Games related, let's be honest, but I feel like the same three quotes get recycled over and over again. And it's cool and all, but I'm glad that for the 10th anniversary be coming out one day, hopefully, eventually. And they need to build back up some kind of hype, and they need to make things relevant and again. And so I think trying to maybe appeal to a new audience is also an objective of theirs. So I feel like I'm fairly open-minded with this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Things are fair.
That's why I like using the coin quote, because I feel like it doesn't get enough attention. Like some of the other quotes are quotes that get talked about all the time. So I like having something different.
I mean, it
Of
is
the
exciting. Don't get me wrong. Like, having actual announcements for
Anything to talk about because we're starved to talk about anything.
We're starving. We need something.
so we're literally tearing apart these
Every little detail.
I didn't notice
No,
that.
don't get me wrong. I'm excited, but also I hate everything.
We should have had AJ do this. Come on, are we kidding? Lionsgate, like hire AJ.
I'm gonna, like just throw that in there. But thank you.
You're like, excuse me. But I'm just genuinely wondering, like, because like I know we won't have these questions solved or answered, but where did this art come from? I know that they posted the artist, but like, what was the concept behind it? I think it'll be
yeah. How did they figure out who was gonna do it? Because I think what could have been cool is everybody who was posting fan art for the Songbirds and Snakes account, like they could have used that to find some artists, perhaps.
Yeah.
Actually, because Songbirds and Snakes followed me back, and I was like, okay, do something. Like, what are you doing? And then they like immediately just didn't do anything, and I was like, okay.
I bet it means something, AJ. I bet it's something good.
I believe that. I have to tell myself that so I can sleep at night.
No.
But
but like, we gotta follow
like,
because we gotta follow, be able to like find this person.
Taylor, what's your opinion?
Okay, so I really like the Katniss art on them, and I like what Emily said with the side of it. But the flowers and stuff, like it really does, like someone said earlier, like psychedelic. It reminds me of these CDs my mom had that were like 70s decades music.
Oh my God.
You mean that now that's what I call music, right?
No, this was like 70s throwback, like in a pack, like 60s, 70s decades music. And it really reminds me of the covers of those. But I do like the other like parts. I like the Katniss art. I like the side of it. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of different. I don't know, it doesn't seem very Hunger Games to me, but like, I don't know. It's okay. I don't know. It's cool.
I feel like
Sorry.
the biggest critique about the whole thing is just that there's no new content. I mean, like, could we get something new on the DVDs if we're gonna spend $90 for a set? Like, we already have a 4K version that's come out that you could buy. We already have all of the special features that are on the DVDs. So, I mean, they look pretty, but I think it would have been nice to have something new.
See,
Can I
Oh, go.
go ahead? No, you.
Oh, I'm changing the subject.
Oh, okay, I'll go then. Can I give an unpopular opinion?
Always.
I think the Catching Fire cover was the worst one.
That was the one I liked the most.
I know.
Words
I
change.
know. The first and third one were the best.
Okay.
Third place goes to 4, and then Catching Fire. Something about it was just off for me,
I think
And I'm a
Cover.
true artist. Yeah. I think it had the best inside though, so I think it's points, right?
Oh, are we rating it based on what's on the outside? I'm like ignoring what's on the outside. I'm looking.
Yeah.
The covers?
I don't.
They're two different competitions to me.
Yeah.
I think what's weird for me is I just would have liked if the same person did all the covers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it throws me off. It's just that cohesiveness again. It throws me off that there's just so many different people involved, and each of the covers have a different style, and I would rather have different images but done by the same artist.
I feel like I've said this many times before in my post about it too, but like the first 3, even though they're like still different in style, because the compositions are way more balanced and like there's a lot more like visual interest, the first one to me feels so out of place in comparison. Yes. And then I mentioned the thing of like the contrast with like her skin tone in the background. I'll nitpick it, but as an illustrator, especially somebody who does portraits and like has a background of that, it irks me so much. And I feel like even if like I agree, like it would have been maybe better the cohesiveness for it to all have been done by the same artist. If they were gonna go with 4, like make sure all 4 of them look like they make sense together. To me, the following three, even though they're different, they look like they make sense together.
I agree.
So much to me.
The Katniss on the first one is just, it kind of gives me like bad fan art vibes, if I'm being honest. But anyway.
Oof, oof.
Oof, oof. If you're like in the future, like we're all just like, we hate it. Stop.
What's going on?
I'm like waiting to see it in person.
Yes. No, I agree. I think
When it's printed, because like this is the thing, a digital image and a printed image look different, and like that's just how it is. And so I'm thinking like I'm still trying to keep an open mind even with the first cover, that like in person it may look better, the contrast might be better. And also like they're kind of just like glams. I don't think they're actual like product photos, or if they are, maybe it's just like the prototype or something. They might still make some small changes like adjusting color saturation and stuff like that by the time we actually get them. Just a pro tip.
yeah.
No, yeah, I'm gonna get mine in person and gonna be like, these are so beautiful. Forget everything I said.
The real gripe with everything is justice for Finnick and Joanna on the overall box.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
What is that?
Yeah, whoever made that sucks.
Like, who's making these decisions? This just doesn't make any sense at all. We have Caesar on the back, which, I mean, I love Caesar, but where's Finnick?
Just really disappointing, to be honest.
At least there's no Cressida.
Amen.
Yeah, that would have really made no sense.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on these Steelbook announcements, anyone?
Still gonna get it.
Still gonna get it. Yeah.
We're still gonna get it.
Yes. Well, I guess so.
Can we talk about on-set cinema too?
Yes, Taylor. Oh
because I bought my ticket last year and then they sold out.
I'm so sorry, Taylor.
No,
Holly and I were like, we're gonna go to the on-set cinema event.
They really should have like had a warning that said like low tickets or something, but I don't think they ever did. It was just like, well, sorry. No refunds either. So if some other people go, I mean, that's like 4 hours, 4.5 from me. Like I definitely would go.
So
hotels in a way that doesn't destroy my financial future. I'm definitely doing that for sure.
See, AJ, you're the smart one. I'm literally it all came out. We were all talking about it today. And I get home and I check my messages, and then 15 minutes later, I'm like, I need to just get a ticket. I don't know if I have the money to go, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So I'm going. So Taylor better be there. You better be there. Everyone has to come because Emily knows I am the most scaredy, anxious person to travel. And I bought these tickets and I'm going. So everyone else should go.
Are you doing the camping or?
No, I got the little cabin accessory time because I'm not going to be camping.
They have like a cabin option.
I don't know. Emily needs to explain this because
so if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, there's last year they had an event. It was put together by Onset Cinema, and they do like movie showings in the locations that the movies were filmed. So they twice last year, or no, one was canceled. So one time last year they did a showing of the Hunger Games at Henry River Mill Village, which was the filming location for the first movie for District 12. So Holly and I were going to go, and then the tickets sold out. But we're going to go this time.
But no, I just think it would be a really cool experience to have. And I think this year is going to be a really exciting one for the fandom. So I think it's a good time to go.
Yeah, this time I'm waiting though. I'm waiting until everyone else has their like plane tickets booked and everything.
No, Taylor, I already bought mine. So
both of you already bought your tickets for the event?
We're committed.
Okay. Yeah, we bought our tickets for the event.
That's like the week right before school ends. So like I feel like it's probably not gonna be too busy. I could probably go. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it? It's Memorial
Ticket
weekend.
to the
yeah.
I might ticket for like the actual event because it's like only $30. And then like best case scenario, if I figure out everything, at least I already have like the actual ticket ready to go. And worst case scenario, if I can't make it, it's just $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is what Holly and I should have done last time, but
It's fine.
we were silly.
Silly. Well,
And as soon as we hop off.
Yes. So yeah, if you're listening and this sounds like something that you want to do and you're free the weekend of May 28th, then you can go visit District 12 and come say hi to some of us because we're trying to go there. So definitely check that out. It's called Onset Cinema. So yeah.
Are you doing the camping, Emily, or are you doing the other thing?
I got the cabin, so we'll be staying at the renovated cabin.
Okay, Emily, it's the one who's like, we need to all camp. You guys are all
What
women.
movie are they gonna show?
They're gonna show
The best one, The Hunger Games.
Ross's boss.
I think they're gonna show a Twilight movie actually. Change of
Oh,
plans.
that'd be nice.
What's the next
We
on
could
this
do
one?
a double feature.
Not everyone asking for their
continue-
refund.
No.
I continue to be impressed with Chase's Twilight references when he claims he has never seen these movies and
Right?
everything.
I
the
never
little
said I
hill
hadn't
one.
seen the movies. My sister loves the movies, so they're on quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows. But yes, okay. Now we should finally get into our chapters for this week. We are just talking about chapters 3 and 4 of Catching Fire. We begin after Snow leaves Katniss's house. And but yeah, I was like, wait, I'm on chapter 4. Yes. After Snow leaves and she's like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I'm screwed. So, initial thoughts, everyone.
Chase, this is not a smart board. What are you doing?
I don't think people can see it on the YouTube.
Yeah, they can.
Wait, really?
I don't think
Yes,
they
it
can.
shows
I was
up.
just
Yes.
saying,
Oh,
is
yeah,
it really?
You can. You can.
Welcome.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes. So
So
as Chase
beautiful.
presented,
Thank
we're
you.
talking about Catching Fire chapters 3 and 4. Chase, why don't you start off?
I'm gonna be honest. I did something for the first time in my life with this set of chapters. I listened to them on audiobook.
I did too.
And
The first girl did really good, but I didn't have the next part. Like she did voices and everything, which was kind of weird. The second girl, she sounded like she was in like the third grade because she stuttered over every word, like messed up every word. I was like, you can't get any of the words right. And at one time she said, so, but she got through the story. So
you just looked up like a random person reading it on YouTube or something?
yes, I was on the way to school, so I had to listen to it. And she said facade, and then she said facade, and then she said facade.
No.
It was funny. But yeah, she kept messing up the story. It was really bad. Anyways.
Okay, I love that. Anyone else have some fun experiences with these chapters?
Or something to say about the actual book?
Oh, I do have something to say about the book.
Okay.
Chapter 4 was very good. I really liked the ending. The last sentence was one of my favorites.
I agree.
Thank you, Taylor.
I love that we're just skipping to the end of chapter 4.
Oh, I didn't know we were starting in order. My bad. Okay. Chapter 3.
Oh my gosh. Okay, chapter
Of the
3.
like world building that we get from it and the sort of expanded version of this part of the film, if that makes sense. I mean, I know the book came first, but like the details of the prep team coming, the details of Katniss freaking out, the details of even like the talent thing, which was like a part that was cut entirely from the films, which totally makes sense, but it's like a fun detail to remember when you're like rereading. I'm like, oh yeah, I always forget about that. or like seeing how certain lines or certain things happen a little bit differently in the book than in the movie. Even though the movie is like they pull like direct phrases from the book, which is chapter 3. We get like so much information in this one chapter.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the little things that they, for the movie, ended up like picking out from the book. That it's like, oh, that's like where the inspiration for that kind of like new added thing came from, like just one sentence or something that they kind of expanded on in different parts.
I think
I wish we got to see them.
Oh yeah. Wait, sorry I cut you off.
Do we mean like the different districts?
Things that Peta does. Slash to cope.
AJ, I think you like cut out for a second there.
Technical difficulties. AJ.
Well, I'm going to go back to the very first line of chapter 3.
Emily's like start from the beginning.
Because the smell of blood, it was on his breath. What does he do? I think drink it. Like, all I'm thinking about is I want somebody to do like fan art of that. Like President Snow like drinking like blood from a teacup.
I will absolutely do that.
Just like so vivid in my mind. I want to see it.
Yeah, now AJ needs to do it. I want to see it.
Also dipping
AJ. Can I tell y'all something?
Yeah.
It relates to AJ. Is she here?
Yep.
Okay, last night, this is random, but hang with me, okay? Last night, I had a dream that I was in a pool and those white mutt alligators in your Ren story were after me.
Oh my gosh.
Terrifying. I looked down and thought, are those the white crocodile things?
That was like the scariest
yeah.
thing. That was so good.
Yeah, they were like after me. It was terrifying. Anyways, I just had to share that. So you left your mark on me.
You just drew everything so well. So vivid.
Yeah, they literally ate my leg off. Back to the book. Yeah, one thing that always strikes me in the books is how ugly her clothes are. Like at one point, she's wearing a dress with leaves on it.
What?
Wait, a
At
dress
one
with
point in the
leaves on
book,
it?
yeah, they're like, it's frocked with leaves. I'm like, or fall foliage. I'm like, what?
Just like avant-garde, right?
I guess, but it's just such an odd concept compared to the films. Like I'm watching right now, and like none of her clothes are, none of them are really ugly. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me not having the mind for that to make it look good. But I always just picture her with like an orange dress and a bunch of leaves taped to her.
Like Effie's butterfly dress, but like way less cute.
But leaves. Yeah. It's odd. But I think that's just me not having the mind for that. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more like Effie's clothes. Like just very like over the top couture. I love how at the bottom of page 30, when Katniss is thinking, everyone I love doomed unless I turn things around. And how? By proving to the country beyond any shadow of doubt that I love Peta Millark. I can't do it, I think.
Yeah, that
So
made me
funny
so
to
sad.
me.
This whole
Like,
chapter,
really?
she's just this whole chapter, like, I can't do it. I just can't. And it's just like, it's
like,
so
this is
sad.
impossible.
Yeah.
And then like she proceeds, even like on the next page, she straight up like lies to her mother. Like she lies a lot. She's very convincing and she gets away with it. So I don't know what her problem is. Like, I think she's a pretty good actress.
Yeah.
I also like that she talks about like mending her relationship with her mom. I just feel like it's a nice
I wanted
paragraph.
to jump in. I don't agree with that.
Wait, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Now we can, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I had to leave and come back. I don't know why it did that. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm back. Okay, cool. Continue.
Yes. But no, Emily, I did not agree with you. I thought that the way that they are, quote, mending their relationship is not genuine. Like, for example, I don't know, asking her to do things for me instead of brushing aside. I feel like for me that just came off like Katniss is, I don't know, treating her mom like a pet, and I don't see it as them like trying to mend their relationship. I see it more as like Katniss treating her like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and like there's no like mending happening.
But I feel like it's a first step. Like Katniss is very independent, like to a fault almost. And I like seeing that she's open to like being more codependent.
Yeah, I feel like talking about stuff right away would be like too big of a jump. But Katniss, now going through the experience of an arena, understands what trauma does to somebody. And I think she's starting to understand that for her mom. And even though she doesn't know necessarily how to like fix all that or how to immediately start communicating with her, it's like as opposed to just immediately dismissing her, she's just actually responding back to her mom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Chase, I'm sorry, now that I can speak, I wanted to apologize for my art.
It's okay. I was good after I woke up, but it freaked me out. They were that good.
Thank you.
One of the lines that kind of stuck out to me was when she said, because sometimes things happen to people and they're not equipped to deal with them. It's kind of like she's starting to kind of just realize, like, you know, that was traumatic for her mom. And I don't know, it's just a little bit of forgiveness there.
Yeah, it's such a simple truth, too. And that's something I really like about Suzanne Collins' writing. It's just like not overly fancy. It's just kind of things that are true, but maybe said in a different sort of way than I've read before.
Yeah. I think everyone can relate to that too. Like that one line.
Yeah. I feel like that's almost surprising that that's not a line that got turned into a bigger quote to me.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me a lot of like Finnick's line in Mockingjay about falling apart and putting yourself back together.
Yeah.
Which is not,
I think the most important part of this chapter was jumping into Katniss being at the lake. Like, okay, I just, you know, I'm always gonna be crazy about it, but it's just having her describe how happy she is and how relaxed and calm, and then cut to Ballad and think of Lucy's body somewhere. Like, I don't know. I just reading Catching Fire after reading Ballad, it's changed everything about this scene for me.
Yeah, I like that I like that sentence. I never took Gale to the lake.
I was like, good. He doesn't deserve to be there.
Which it is kind of weird that she like never took him there, but it was just like her and her dad's like special secret place.
Part of her holding him at arm's length, you know.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like reading this first chapter and the next chapter, like it's weird to me after seeing the movie so many times how like not present Gale feels. He feels very detached because there's only that one flashback scene where they hang out that one time and he kisses her and then just like runs away. But in the movie, he's so much more of like a presence, like saying goodbye to her, like right before she leaves for the tour. And we don't get that at all in the book.
I guess they were just trying to like add more of that love triangle thing in the movies, maybe.
Yeah.
Francis.
Yeah. Trying to give Liam some more something to do.
They paid all their money for them. You're gonna use them.
Yeah, let's give one of the worst actors more in the movie. Him and Lenny.
I feel like Liam is pretty good. But then again, like Gale's like not my absolute favorite character, so like maybe I don't care as much.
I feel like he's a good Gale. Like
I think he's a good Gale, yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't strike me as like amazing, but he doesn't strike me as terrible either. I think he's a good guy. I also love Katniss's like really dry like thoughts, or like, let me rephrase that. She's very funny, but like in a very dry, sarcastic, like not trying to be funny way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of an aspect that we don't get really in movies because obviously these are just like her thoughts and whatever. But again, one of those things I'm like, oh yes, I love reading the books for this reason.
Honestly, some of her lines remind me of reading Ballad and like Snow in a way too. Like how he would kind of say something and then think something completely different. Like it's kind of the same for Katniss. Like when her prep team comes and she was like, "Oh yeah, I like totally remembered not to cut my hair." Like, of course. And then like, "No, I didn't." Like in her head right afterwards.
Like the whole like, oh, unless there's a national emergency, like my leg hair. Like
right? She's so funny. I also really I like the prep team and how she kind of has that moment of kind of empathy for them and how where's that one line? I feel bad about how I go around feeling so superior to them. Who knows who I would be or what I would talk about if I'd been raised in the capital. I don't know. I just like that like kind of humanizing moment and that she's able to like see that about them despite how much she like hates the capital.
And I feel like she's able to do that because like before going into the games, maybe seeing like Effie and like the like low level capital people was like the worst she'd experienced from them like directly. But then like post games and especially post like Snow's visit in her home, like surprise visit in her home, she's like, these people are really the least like there's no need to be like spend that much energy on these people when I have literally President Snow threatening to kill everyone I love. So
yeah, like remember who the enemy is. It's President Snow.
Yes. I think that's an important theme that carries on throughout Catching Fire and Mockingjay, and even Ballad.
Yeah.
Well, then we get to like the Peta moment.
Oh my god.
Which is just really cute. And I think done in the movie like really well. Like I like that moment.
I love that scene. I love the train, as we all know.
So cute. Kissing, falling in the snow. I love it. It's really sad though. I mean, reading it, like how like she knows how hurt Peta is, but that he's gonna put everything into it anyway, and like how sad it makes her. Like makes me sad reading it.
Yeah. always makes me think of you could live 100 lifetimes and never deserve that boy line.
It's true.
And then we end chapter 3 with he means there's only one future. If I want to keep those I love alive and stay alive myself, I'll have to marry Peta. Dun dun dun.
What a threat.
So awful.
Thing that she's experiencing. Okay.
But I mean, I get it.
It's like I get it. And like she goes into it at the beginning of chapter 4. Like, you know, it's the principle of the thing. But you know, it's still Peta.
Yeah, she doesn't understand what she has. Like, girl,
Exactly.
yes. We're saying yes.
But I mean, like the most like sickening thing is the fact that like, yes, he'll probably insist that they have kids, and yes, for sure those kids would end up in the arena.
Yeah, and then it even brought up like questions about how they like rig Victor's children to be reaped into games, like how common that actually is. I don't know, that just like made me confused because I remember last book we were talking about how we didn't know like if each of the reapings were what's the word? Rigged. Oh my gosh, where am I going with my thought? In Catching Fire, I'm sorry, I completely lost my train of I don't know. I don't know what I was saying. Something about them being rigged. Yeah.
Well, like
It's like
cashmere and gloss, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's what I was trying to say. So I'm just I don't know. Yeah.
It's definitely like that's what I mean about like the world building that we get in these 2 chapters. It's like little tiny like one sentence details like that. That like when you watch the movies, like more than you read the book, you can kind of like forget these little bits and pieces. But they really help inform like what kind of world Pan Am really is. And not that it's hard to imagine, but like getting it acknowledged is like crazy to me. I don't know.
And Jessica has a good point too. She commented that we have to remember Katniss is only 16, thinking, you know, you're going to be forced to marry someone. And she even mentioned like how that's their one of the few freedoms they have in District 12 is getting to choose if they want to marry, who they want to marry, and like even that's being taken from her. And she's only 16, like Jessica said. Yeah. So I can kind of get it.
Right. So yes, it's Peta, but it's not right.
Yeah.
So then we, in chapter 4, start approaching District 11.
Oh, I really like the paintings.
Oh, right.
I've always been a fan of that scene. I don't know why. I just like the little snippets of the games.
Yeah, that's what I was like trying to say before. I guess Zoom cut me off for no reason.
Like as his talent.
Yeah, like I love that scene, and I always wish that we got to see them, even as a deleted. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we don't get very much of Peta as a painter in the films. I mean, we get that moment in front of the game makers with like Rue's drawing, but not much.
It feels random if you haven't read the book, but
yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I guess it kind of ties into the whole like, oh, he can camouflage himself and stuff. Like, but it feels like such a stretch and like such a weird.
It's like so different too. Like going from the camouflage.
But I also just think like if you hadn't read the book and then you just saw the movies, right, and you're like, okay, no, he can like camouflage himself, but that's like a relatively small thing in the first movie. Then
you probably forgot that detail about Peta,
right? And then you're like, why are they referencing that? Like that's such a stretch. Like if you've read the book, you can kind of like autofill everything that they cut out, but yeah, it feels weird.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have more fan art of like what Peta's like paintings would be. I mean, I guess fan art of those scenes themselves is basically it, but I just love fan art, so I want to see everything.
Taking that. I also love that Katniss is like, I hate them. Like, so cut to the chase, like to the point.
Like,
but
they're amazing, but I hate them.
Yeah, but I even love that exchange because Peeta knows what she means. Like, he doesn't take it personally.
Yeah, they don't even have to have like
a
conversation really about it.
Yeah, and it's like so clear that she's talking about the subject matter, or doesn't even understand why Peeta would even choose that as the subject matter. But I love it. It's so good.
It's great.
I like when she says, "Do you want to go see my talent?" And he's like, no, later," and just walks off.
I love that Cinna is like doing everything for her talent. Like, it's like a group project, and he's just doing all the work.
And in the previous chapter, he's like, "Go away, you worthless thing," as a joke, obviously, but like.
Yeah, I love their relationship. Like them calling each other on the phone and talking. Yeah. Like, it's just so like something that's not portrayed in the films at all.
Yeah, like Cinna actually having depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Poor Lenny.
Oh, also, this is a book detail that I feel very passionate about. Like the prep team commenting on like, it's a shame Cinna didn't like said no alterations on you. And like she goes on to detail like the kind of like body modifications that happen. I feel like this is like the weird like grim stuff that I really focus on that I know is like a bummer to talk about. But this for me is like the just like little tip of the iceberg of how insidious like the Capitol really is, especially with like children, like underage minors, you know, and like making like drastic physical changes to their bodies and like what that implies. And we all know what happens and what gets revealed in Mockingjay with the escalation of that. But it gives me like the biggest ick ever.
Yeah, it randomly made me think about like Uglies, if you've read like that series, and how like at 16, right, everybody's like ugly, and then they have all these like modifications done to make them like pretty.
But also, I'm like, coming from the tattoo world, right, the tattoo industry, modification industry, I'm like, yo, but some of these are actually kind of cool, but I understand that it's not ethical given the context, but yeah.
Well, and also like the mention of the cat whiskers.
Yeah.
Which is like the first little nod to Tigress eventually. Or we actually get to see someone who's like gone full-blown cat.
It's moments like this where I wonder how much Suzanne has developed of her character. You know what I mean? Like, does she know that this character exists already?
I feel like she has to. I feel like
in a general sense. I just wondered to what extent.
Yeah. I feel like she had to have someone in mind. Like cat whiskers. It's just so specific.
Yeah. True.
And then Katniss and Peeta. Well, Katniss yells at Effie and then gets off the train. And they like get off the train several times in this book, which I feel like it's interesting because I don't know if they'd really like. It doesn't seem like they'd be allowed to do that.
Because you never get off this train.
Yes. Oh, that was good.
Thank you. My one joke of the year, you guys.
And then like Peeta apologizes to Katniss, which I just love this moment so much. I'm like, take notes, Gail. Like, this is the attitude that you need to have. And it's like, it's a good apology, and she's like taken aback by it. And I just love this moment where they like start becoming friends.
I love that she says, I'm sorry too. I say, I'm not sure for what exactly, maybe because there's a real chance I'm about to destroy him. I don't know why that's funny, but
sorry in advance. I'm gonna wreck your life.
If this scene had never happened, would y'all be nicer to Gail, or would you be equally mean to Peeta? Just curious. I'm just wondering.
Like, do you mean like never ever, or like the apology happens at a different time, or just like straight up we just don't get it?
Like if he just never apologized and they just went on about their life, if the story continued.
If that were the case, then I would definitely be like pro Katniss ends up on her own.
I mean, I naturally like Peta more than Gale, so I would definitely still lean more towards Peta, but I mean, I think it would be a fair criticism.
Yeah, for sure.
Or Gale.
Well, Gale just needs to apologize.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I love this moment in the movie too. It's like the favorite color scene. It's just like my favorite Katniss and Peeta moment in the whole series, I think.
Yeah, which I'm kind of surprised that the "will not you step over the line" thing. I always thought that was a book thing, and I always forget that it's not, or at least maybe
Yeah,
not
I know. I was kind of
moment.
surprised. Like they elevated it, I feel like, in the
fucking
movie.
funny.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
funny.
great.
I do remember people laughing at that when I saw it in theaters.
I just like that they're having a moment of like levity.
Levity.
Yeah. And he has a really good favorite color because that's my favorite color too.
Orange.
Yeah.
That is my favorite color as well.
Whoa.
It's the best color.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's everybody
This is
else's
why-
favorite colors?
Mine is green,
Mine's green.
Katniss.
but I also
Katniss
love
too.
orange too.
Oh, green and orange.
My two favorite teams.
Nice.
Well, Chase, are you green or orange then, or some rogue
or
color?
different.
I
Or
like
different.
my favorite color has always been black. So
Oh.
I was gonna
like
say
ever
mine-
since I couldn't remember. I don't know why what that says about me, but
Mine is blue. If we're going with like colors. If we're going with like the full spectrum, I like gray a lot.
Hmm. Interesting. Gray and black. Some.
It's weird because I love orange, but I only wear like dark muted colors. Like I'm always
That's
wearing
fair.
brown, black, or like navy blue.
okay. The more interesting question is, what is your least favorite color, and why is mine yellow? Because it's too happy.
Oh my gosh, I do not like yellow either. It's
Oh!
always
It's
been my least favorite.
disgusting.
Oh my
It's just
gosh.
it's
There's yellow and there's
I don't
yellow
like it.
though.
There's beautiful pastel yellow. You can't say that's your least favorite.
I don't like bright yellow. I don't really like
Like I
any
would say
yellow,
like
but
highlighter yellow would probably be a
Ooh.
least
The one
favorite
that
color.
blinds
Yeah.
you.
But not like a nice sunshine yellow. Or like a
Or
mustard
even like
yellow.
a mustard yellow.
Like
Emily,
yellow green.
you get me.
I do. We get each other.
Oh.
Okay, so District 11, which I've been thinking about this. So this quote that Katniss thinks, what do they do? Have preliminary drawings, pick the winners ahead of time to make sure they're in the crowd because there's so many people in District 11, and it was just making me think about like the Panem map because we've been talking about that with that being like on the back of the new steel books. And it's like, are there multiple cities or like multiple towns in some of the districts? Like, because with District 12, it's all just kind of one place. And then
I think
on
there's
the map, it's
communities.
so huge, each of the sections.
There's communities like the Seam and stuff. I bet that's it.
Yeah. Because I
Maybe.
can't
I don't
imagine
know.
like. No, I agree with that. I mean, even if like, the like geographical aspect of like where Panem changes, like the geography of it changes. like even if we were just to take like a random state that exists currently and imagine that that state is like one district, how do you have all of those people like in the same spot with like just a bunch of dead space around? You know what I mean? Like it has to be spread out in some way. And District 12 is like a really small district, so it's that seems like that makes sense. But yeah, like District 11 being one of the larger districts, I have to imagine that it's like spread out a bit.
I had a theory. There's like, I always thought that the districts were just like the size of a city, and like the fence around it, like everything outside the fence would be like someplace where they put arenas or other like capital business stuff that we don't know about, or stuff that the citizens don't know about. Because you can't you can't fit the whole population in the whole like size of the district. Yeah. I think they're all city sized, but everything outside of it's something that, you know.
Well, yeah, like the arenas have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And if everything's kind of blocked off for being this district or that district, then I guess it makes sense that they would be within certain districts. And there would be other things there.
Yeah. I'm really interested in like what the railroads look like for like the capital train that takes like tributes and victors to and from their districts in the capital. So like you also have to build all of that. That takes up space. How do you do that in a way where you're still like preventing people from escaping or people on the train being able to see into other districts, like really see into them? I'm so curious about the Amtrak.
Suzanne, we need a guide. We need answers.
Oh my God, please.
Also, like so much of the world building that's like, I feel like we have so many questions.
I think I remember in Ballad, like Coriolanus was talking about seeing all the dead cities. Maybe they like just haven't cleared out all the place. Just leave it on its own.
True, because then they talk about an arena using like rubble from a ruined city. What the heck is that? That's true.
Sorry, Taylor, what were you saying?
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, like, I am always so impressed with Suzanne's like research of Appalachia, and like just because that next like paragraph to what you were just talking about when she says, I begin to weary of the vastness, the endlessness of this place. Like whenever I go to a place that is flat, it's like the same exact feeling. Like, I don't know, like how many of you guys live with mountains, like hills and stuff, but like you kind of, I don't know, they're like kind of a protection. And when you go outside of that and you're like in a flat area, it's kind of like, whoa, like I should not be able to see for miles and miles. So it's kind of like, I just love how she captures that. Like she really does. Like this is kind of like a total side note, but she really did her research. Like I just love it when she puts those things in these stories to capture that like Appalachian culture. She does such a good job.
Yeah, I had friends come visit from far eastern Kentucky, like coal mining type country.
Yeah, like close to where I live.
Yeah, and they complained. They were like, "What is the deal? Like you can see forever." And I'm like, "It's just fields." And they're like, "No, this is not normal."
It is. Yeah. There's something about it. Like when you live in hills and mountains and you can't see, you know, past the hill that is next to you. It's like you go to these flat areas and you're just like, oh my gosh, you just feel so vulnerable.
Then they came and I went and visited them, and I was like, I do not like the mountains. This is freaky. Like,
yeah, like
there's gonna be an avalanche. I'm gonna die. Like I was freaking out.
But it's like with Katniss, it's like there's like a protection in those hills, and it's just I love it. Suzanne just does such a good job of like that Appalachian culture that she captures in. I just love it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Growing up in New York City, I've been to Texas like once, and talk about like not being able to see far in New York City. You know, there's skyscrapers everywhere.
Yeah.
And then landing in Texas, and I was like, I've landed on the moon. Like, there's nothing here. This is insane. And maybe it's a different landscape than District 12, where I'm from, but I definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I also took note of that like little line there. I was like, that's such a specific feeling. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt going to the Pacific Northwest for the first time. Like, I'm from Arizona, so we have mountains, but it's not like all consuming. Like, it's kind of like mountains in the distance, and you can still see past them. They're like not everywhere, and we don't really have a lot of trees. So going somewhere that was much more closed in, it was like, oh my gosh, like where am I right now?
Yeah. Like here in West Virginia, it's all hills. Like there's hardly anywhere you can go that's flat. So it's kind of like, it's so weird when we go outside of that.
I love that, Taylor. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, I'll be the
She is our
designated
Appalachia
expert. Your Appalachian, what is it called? Like correspondent.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Oh, one of those moments that I was like thinking about that they kind of expanded on in the movie that I really liked. I'm on page 58 near the bottom. Two little girls come up with tremendous bouquets of flowers. And like, oh, I just love how they took that sentence and turned that into that moment in the movie where the little girl gives her the flowers and is like, I'm gonna volunteer just like you did. One
I think that's
day.
one of the most underrated movies or moments of Catching Fire, honestly.
Yeah.
They need more nightmares in the whole series.
Yeah, you can just see the shock and like horror on Jennifer's face. It's pretty cool. I mean, not
like
cool, but
that like people are like looking up to her or like want to be like her, whatever form that's presented in. Like because we see that with President Snow's daughter too, or granddaughter too. Like, doing the braid in her hair and everything. And that she like really like has an effect on people, even outside of just like the revolution,
She's mythic.
Yeah, it's just a super cool moment, I think. I mean, terrible, but
Did this book teach anyone else the word veranda?
No, but
It
Or was
taught
that
me how
just
to
me?
spell it. I didn't know it had an H on the end, honestly.
Like as
See,
a
the French-
12-year-old, I was like, oh, what is this word? I had to go Google it and see what it looked like.
See, I know the word in French, but in French there isn't the H on the end. And so when I read this, I was like, wait, what? That's cool.
I don't know, everything about District 11 I just love. I mean, it's just, and like it's done so well in the film too. I mean, it's more cinematic in the movie, but I think it's great.
I love in
Jim
the
does
movie
such a
when
good
Effie's
job.
like in the movie when Effie's like, well, this isn't very festive. I just love that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a note that I'm like, oh, I love Effie in the movie so much more.
Yeah.
My favorite shot in District 11, which is really random, is like right as they're being announced, and you can hear him outside saying their names, and she's like pushing them forward. I think that's one of the best shots. Also, I think that's the opening of one of the trailers, so that probably
Yeah,
has
I was
something to
gonna
do with
say
it.
that reminds me of like there's a lot of nostalgia there for the trailer that we saw and seeing that for the first time.
That scene was a scene that I did for my cinema class. I did a whole paper on it, and I talked about like um before Katniss does her speech, the clouds were like cloudy, or the sky was cloudy, and once they did the three finger salute, the sun came out, so it kind of symbolized hope.
Things I've never noticed, but I feel like that scene is definitely paper worthy.
That's deep, Jerry.
Yeah, really.
I'm shocked right now. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. That was deep.
I like the way that they kind of change her speech like a little bit at the end too. It's really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, even the way like this chapter ends, where like just the end of this scene in general is a little bit different in the film. In the film, I feel like it's definitely one of those, like we were saying earlier, uh, one of the more underrated scenes in Catching Fire. Um, I have such a hard time getting through this scene because of like the emotional weight of it.
Hmm.
I love it, but it's like, but I almost dread it. Like I feel the stakes are so high. I don't know, like overwhelms me a little bit.
It's just such a good part of the movie. Like, and the score is really
Yeah.
good. The tour,
Yeah.
like, that's my favorite.
Like when they have to drag her back in the building as he's getting shot, that's like one of the greatest pieces of cinematic work I've ever seen him off.
It's so good.
And now I want to watch Catching Fire after this.
I always want to watch Catching Fire. Every day
Hey,
is a good day to watch Catching Fire.
Let's just hijack this and turn it into a Catching Fire.
We'll watch it one. I'm down for that. But I do have class in the morning, so.
Well, does anybody have any other thoughts on these
Also, is Holly
chapters?
still here?
Yes, I am.
I just haven't heard you in a long time, but
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's harder for me to like have all these points from Catching Fire and Hunger Games ever since Ballad. So it's so much harder for me to like take notes and like think of things that are more in depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
That's
was thinking the same thing when I was reading these, because I feel like Ballad deals so much more with like political theory and things like that. And it's just kind of different than these books. So I get it. Like I understand that.
yeah, so my points are very limited, but I learn a lot from everyone else.
Is Chase showing Chase has something on his
I don't think they can see it
picture.
on the live.
Oh, okay. It's that scene.
Oh wow.
District 11.
Ignore the subtitles.
Us all just watching.
I heard someone say that I had a friend once tell me that when the peacekeepers get out their batons, that was like the cheesiest moment, and they hated that scene or that part.
What?
I love
Yeah,
it.
I was like, what? That's like one of the best parts.
It's so intense.
And
It feels like
Peta's
such a-
face too when they close the door is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, much
It's
better
just
than his
wow.
face when he was reaped.
Okay, enough of that.
It's kind of the same though.
It's
Oh,
such a,
sticking up for
good-
PETA, huh?
it's such
Oh,
a good
you can?
follow-up.
You can see it on YouTube.
Oh, fun.
Okay,
Whoops,
well,
we'll probably get
everyone
taken
watching,
down.
enjoy.
It was up in the corner.
Oh, that's probably gonna get a strike or something.
Oh man.
Probably
like
not.
2
It's pretty
seconds.
tiny.
It was like
Well,
2
if it's
seconds.
this is recorded, so we can just go back and make a script and reenact the entire live.
There you go.
Actually, yes.
I feel like it's such a good follow-up or like callback to like in the first movie, because we didn't really get to see that in the book so much, but like in the first movie when we see District 11's reaction to Rue's death and like Katniss like quote unquote burying her, and this feels like in the movie canon, it feels like a really good callback to that.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was already so much emotion related to District 11, like going into it.
Something that has always bothered me, and I'm watching it right now, that man, when they drag him off, has no blood anywhere on the concrete or on his head. It's like
PG-13.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like we cheated on the blood in the first movie as well.
It's so frustrating every time I see it. And same way with Coin, like that huge arrow that's sticking out of her, it's like the size of a baseball bat at the end. Like that is so if you've ever noticed that, it is so unreal. Yeah, but that arrow is like the size of, I don't know, it's huge. I'm like, that's obviously not a
But
real
she was
arrow.
also wearing like several layers of clothing.
I also feel like she would eventually bleed more, but like the initial impact may not cause that much blood bleeding. I don't know.
I hear what you're saying,
Oh.
though.
The tour is so good, though. I'm watching it right now.
It's so good. I'm gonna get off this and watch it.
Except District 8 is a little odd looking. I don't know if it's the green screens are throwing me off. Something about it. It's still great, though.
Well, I feel like we will probably end it here for the night. Holly, do you have any other thoughts before we close it out?
I guess we have a new episode coming out this weekend. So you just want to listen to an Emily and Holly episode of Into the Arena. That's coming out.
Finally.
I know it's like a little bit, but no, thank you again for everyone who joined us to watch and those of you who are chatting with us. We really appreciate you guys, and we will be here probably 10 minutes late next week again.
Yeah, this is gonna be the like 6 p.m. / 9 p.m. Live show that starts 15 minutes late every week.
We're trying to get better, but next week we'll be talking about
we'll shave off some time.
Chapters 5 and 6, yes. So come join us then, and thank you again. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Bye.